Hi, welcome to Spirit on Tap, the East Asian D&D podcast. My name is Anna and I am the DM. I'd like to introduce my players. We'll start with ERIK.
Hello, I play Bora the Foreigner, the White Tiger Leonin.
And we have Helen.
Hello, I play Atonement from Sin, the party's Grave Domain Cleric.
And we have GINNY.
I am playing Ka, the Ganassi Druid in the Circle of Stars.
So, before we get started, we've done this with a few of our intros, but guys, what are you having to drink while we play the game? I am drinking Thai iced milk tea, but without the ice.
I'm drinking the Agony of Back Pain.
What?
Look, I'm an old man. I only have so much time left on this
It
earth.
sounds almost like, I want to say a cocktail from some sort of, like, slightly culty cocktail.
We'll make it. We'll make it. If you're out there, make one. Send it to us. We'll see what it is, and we'll see if it tastes good.
You might say Spinal on tap.
Boo! Boo! That was terrible.
That part is getting cut out. Don't worry.
No, it's
I'm
not.
giving you a DM inspiration.
Yes!
That was
Now I have to leave it in because you got inspiration. Great.
Oh, hooray!
That was
What can
terrible.
I say? I like to encourage the terrible puns because, I mean, I can't get rewarded from it because I can't have player. Can I get player inspiration?
Don't know. We can make it a thing.
If you kill one of us, you'll get player inspiration. How about that? There's your incentive.
Don't tempt her.
I mean,
what do you give an already all-powerful world creator?
Mostly family photos.
bribes.
Bribes.
Okay, so Helen, what are you drinking?
I'm really boring. I have a summer fruit squash because I'm a child apparently.
Summer fruit squash is really good. Though.
It's real tasty.
Is it the Johnson's one?
No, that's too fancy for me. This is Sainsbury's own.
And Ginny, what are you drinking?
I am even more boring, and I have just regular water.
I have that too, so gotta stay hydrated.
Fancy drinks in this economy?
So the last couple sessions, the group had two of them had made their way to Malang, and one of them already started in Malang and had been sent on a mission to go and find an individual named Shu. Now, Ka and Atonement from Sin have decided to stick together, and they decided to look for a white Leonin individual who might be able to lead them to a black dragonborn, Komodo dragonborn. Meanwhile, Bora had been sent on a mission by Chul to go and clean out a warehouse. On the way, they bumped into each other completely by chance, and Ka and Atonement from Sin agreed to help Bora on his mission to sort out this warehouse. So they followed Bora's tabaxi guide. And in this warehouse, it seemed somewhat abandoned, but there were a few rust monsters in there who seemed to have escaped from some cages. After a battle in which Bora spent most of the time grappling one of these rust monsters, and the other two did some really fancy stuff. I'm just going to leave it there. Go listen to the previous episode if you want to find out what they did. And we left it with them having just killed these rust monsters. I believe, Ka, you said that Ka was going to run over to some sacks of food, as I mentioned in the previous episode. It looked like this was kind of for some food storage, at least a point at which some food would have been stored before it was shifted somewhere else. And there were some sacks of rice, and there were some other wooden crates and containers in there. And I believe you said Ka was going to make their way over towards some of the food.
Yes, if there's any food that is ready to eat, Ka will probably take some.
Unfortunately, it's not that kind of place, although you can smell a little bit of food on the air, but coming from elsewhere in the port district.
Ka will just let out a small sigh, and start to look for their abacus bead.
Oh, yes. Roll investigation.
9.
You're finding a little bit difficult You are kind of still, I guess, still in a not necessarily shock, but in a state of surprise at having found these creatures in this warehouse. But with all like the blood coming from them and like bits of like their armor plating being chipped off, it's just a little bit difficult in this light to be able to find this single abacus bead. What would the rest of you like to do?
Bora is just simply going to get up off the ground, kind of clean himself off of the bug bits that he can. And so there are 3 rust monster corpses, right?
Yes, there are.
So I'm going to do 2 things. The first of which is try to harvest what I can from them, especially of those, I guess it's like specialized rust venom sacs or whatever. And the second is just going to be to try to bundle all 3 bodies together to take to Chul.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to roll a nature check for this, please.
Can I tempt you with survival?
No.
Shut down.
This is for making fun of things earlier, right? Ooh, I got an 8. Big rolls.
You don't know how you would cut this animal apart to either to make it safe to eat or to make it safe to carry.
And he's just going to let out a sigh and just...
You can bundle them up together, though.
Can one of you maybe help me out with something for a second? You see, I'm not a very smart man, Leonin. I'm not a very smart person. I'd like to extract some of the toxins these creatures produce to bring back to the Lotus Father. Would either of you be able to help me out with that?
I mean, I have prepared a lot of funerals in the past. I know a little bit about dissecting and extracting dead bodies. Granted, nothing like this, but I can give it my best shot.
You can roll a nature check for me, please. I'll allow one of you guys to roll nature at advantage.
Okay, and advantage. Okay, so that's a 17.
Significantly better.
Are able to see inside the body of one of them who has been quite thoroughly busted up. But you see that the particular glands which make the chemical secretions that rust metal they've been damaged, so nothing you can really harvest from them, but it gives you enough of an idea of where they are located in the other 2 to be able to remove them or harvest them without damaging them. However, you will need something with a 17. I'll say that you will need something to put them into to make sure that they don't break or don't get damaged during transportation. But again, with a 17, I'll allow you to be able to remove them without much issue. You just need to find a container to put them in.
What other items were stored in this warehouse aside of the bugs? Was there any sort of glassware or...
So on a quick glance around, it seems to be mostly crates in here. There are some cages towards the back of the warehouse, which looks like they have been rusted through, as I mentioned in the previous episode. So these were probably the cages that the rust monsters were in before they escaped in this warehouse. You've got several sacks of rice and what could be barley. You're not really sure at the moment without a closer inspection of what is on the packaging. But you need to... There isn't really a huge amount at first glance of anything that you could use to carry these objects in.
You were able to locate the sacks? Wow, saying that sounds weird. Atonement from sin. Is there a shorter way to refer to you? Is there a different name? Because that's a long title to have to say every time, especially in battle.
I have never been given a short name. That is just the names that we have. Everyone in my family has names like that. It's the names that we are given at the naming ceremony. So, I don't have a specific one.
Will you be all right if I call you Atonement?
It will take some getting used to, but I could probably be okay with that.
Fantastic. We'll begin now. So Atonement, were you able to locate the venom sacs, and do you know how we should transport these?
I can get it out of the other two, but carrying them is a different problem altogether. They obviously will have to be transported very carefully, otherwise they will just rust through, but I could get them out easily if you could find something to hold them in.
What would you need to hold them in? Glass or some other material that's clearly not metal?
Just to add with your role, you would recommend possibly ceramic, but anything again that isn't iron based would be ideal.
Ka, in the meantime, is walking around in the background and just knocking on crates and essentially seeing if they're empty, and if they are not empty, trying to crack the lid a little bit.
Roll an investigation check for me.
Oh no.
Or I'll allow perception or investigation, whichever is higher.
13.
You have quite a solid thud as you are knocking on them. And if you were to open one of them, the crate is sealed, but I would say it doesn't take too much effort for you to at least pry one corner of one of the crates open. And inside you see these little ceramic jars, essentially. They're slightly rectangular, and they have waxed cloth over the top, and they've been sealed around the edges so that the wax cloth doesn't come up. And on the wax cloth, you see the stamp of 3 beans, and then the symbol for the nation of Quito.
And what, as Ka, would I know about the nation of Quito? Like, what sort of general things might that bring to mind?
I would say just roll a real quick history check at advantage because of what your background is.
I am not kidding. I just rolled 2 natural 20s.
Oh, take a picture!
Oh, nice.
Take a picture! I want to see that.
Do it for the gram.
Well, with 2 natural 20s,
That's pretty
what
sexy.
is it in total with your modifier?
21.
Okay, so with that, in your travels, you have actually stopped by this nation a couple times, I would say. So you've stopped there for food, and you know that they are an ally of the Wanderers, who are the seafaring folk that you've been traveling with for the last decade. So they're an island nation, and there's quite a few islands that belong to this nation, and they kind of came together as part of an alliance to trade with each other, and they've been a relatively peaceful nation. They don't have very much in the way of any interest in expanding via warfare. If anyone wants to join them, they're more than welcome to join them as long as they're willing to be peaceful and trade. They do trade quite a lot, but most of the things that they trade is food stuff, usually fish related, sea related, or anything else that might grow on one of their islands. They are considered to be the closest land-living descendants of the Wanderers, and they do worship the Bronze Dragon, and they follow the Bronze Dragon and their mantra of happiness is freedom. Now, they don't really have a ruler or anything. They kind of tend to just do what they do in their individual tribes. And from both your passive perception and your knowledge of this, and your knowledge of what these 3 beans might be, you know that this is a sort of fermented soybean paste that is quite often used as a complement to foods, and is particularly favored in kuzubuchi, and can sometimes be put into soups and be put into marinades to just give a little bit of a kick to the food.
I'm going to take a little bit on my finger and just lick it up. Just a tad.
Yeah, it tastes pretty good. How familiar are you with Korean food?
I somewhat know to the dish you are referring. I've seen it out in along the internet, but I have not tasted it.
Yeah, so I really don't know how to describe it. I'm basically describing doenjang. Um, it's sort of like a slightly, if you had to open it up, it is a slightly kind of a lumpy, dark brownish paste, and you have seen this before, but with chili in it, and the chili version is like a red paste, and it tastes pretty good. I really don't know how to describe the taste of it because I would just tell people it tastes like doenjang.
Imagine it's like fairly salty and like strong.
It is a fairly strong taste. I don't think it's that salty, personally. It's good at complementing dishes, and just adding a tiny bit of extra flavor to things is almost, I'd say, the equivalent of maybe adding, I don't know, a little bit of mustard powder to something just to give it an extra little kick or some flavor. It's the best way I can describe it.
I was like, this sounds so tasty. Okay.
It's kind of like from this process you can make both soy sauce and doenjang from this process.
Mm-hmm. So having like doing this as I'm hearing Atonement from Sins and Bora's conversation, I'll just kind of turn around and be like, something like this, and then I will take a second to pull back the bean paste ceramic jar and just like chuck it, lob it rather at Bora.
I kind of want to make you do a dexterity check, but I'm not going to. I'm not that
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Do you
That's
want
fine.
to? You don't have to, but if you want to for comedic effect, you're more than welcome to. Saving throw. If you roll a 1, you're getting hit in the head by this thing.
Roll
You roll a
5.
1. Oh, 5. Okay, that's not so bad. Okay, you hear Car calling you, and you turn around and you have this like jar coming your way. Well, this pot coming your way. How do you want to fail this save?
Literally, Ka would have thrown it first, and then the split second between Ka throwing it and like it's already in the air, and then calling my name is like just a little too late. So I literally turn my face and just smack right like on the left eye into the nose, and it just kind of gives it a thud. But if there's any sort of like paste still on there, it's just like kind of streaking down as the
And
ceramic
it's
jar
getting
just
mixed
falls to the
in with your
floor.
fur on your face.
And the sweat, yeah.
Mm.
I'm a real pasty boy now. But if you'll allow me to roll a second dexterity check, I can at least try to save the ceramic.
I mean, you could just go and pick up another pot from the crate.
True.
At this point, Ka has like turned around and is looking back through the crates again. Like just enough to like, hey.
Ka, did you intend for that to hit me in the face? These first impressions
I
are
intended
not
for
the
you to
best.
catch it. I thought you might be capable of that. Should I?
Would you like to call my name before you throw it next time?
I could do that. How about for this one? I will just, and Ka's going to pick up another one from the crate and just bring it over very, very gingerly. I'll just walk it over to you. There you go.
Thank you. You're too kind.
You're welcome.
And he just lets out another big sigh.
I love this relationship already.
I guess he hands it to Atonement from Sin, and just simply goes, a ceramic container, as recommended, for the extraction. I mean, I was willing to just take these to Chul and just cut them up in front of him, but I guess this method works too.
You may want to empty them out first. And try some.
I would say, Bora, with your history, you know exactly what this is by looking at it and smelling it, because you have used this before a few times.
Bora would just unceremoniously kind of dump it out because there's plenty at the estate. And just, I guess, I don't even know how to clean this thing. I guess he would just take his cloth that he wears from around him and just like use it to scrub and scrape the inside of the ceramic container a little bit before handing it to Atonement from Sin.
When she takes them, she can still kind of like smell it, and she looks a bit kind of disgusted, and you can just see her like wave her hand over just the top of it and just cast prestidigitation over the glass to just clean the rest of it out, because she can tell you probably didn't do a very good job.
I love
She's
this.
not going to say anything. She's just going to very quietly just do it.
This is just insult the big dumb soft boy. Like,
Yeah. You can't catch and you can't clean.
Sorry.
I have other talents. Don't worry.
Okay, so now that she's got the ceramics, can she try, now that she also has done the other slightly failed procedure, can she try and do this one a bit cleaner on this one?
Yes. The one that was all mushed up. That wasn't because you messed it up. It was because it got messed up in battle.
Oh, wicked.
But I would highly recommend that you take your thingamajiggy off, your blindfold off for this.
No.
Okay. No, it's fine. I'll let you keep your nature check.
I will take that
from-
disadvantage if I need it. She is not.
Okay, fine. If you really want to roll again.
I'm just saying.
Okay. Well, you have a choice. I'm going to give you a choice. You can either take the same nature check as before, or try a medicine check at this. I was going to say at advantage, but I guess just a regular medicine roll. Or you could just take the 17 from before.
I'll just take the 17 because I'm scared and I'm a coward.
Okay,
Would you
yeah,
like
no, it's
assistance in this procedure at all? Because you are kind of wearing a blindfold. I don't know if that's going to impede your vision as you do this.
You learn to live with the blindfold on. Thank you.
no, yeah, you managed to get it out.
Bora just throws his hands up and just like walks to a different wall for a minute. He's just trying to help, just getting made fun of, just gonna walk towards a wall.
She
He's
was
gonna
thankful
breathe.
for your help. Thank you very much.
Wow, this group, man.
We don't know what kind of interaction the bean paste might have had with the rust venom stuff, whatever that is.
I was just.
I think that she was just being thorough.
While Bora is just exasperated by the people around him right now, you are able to successfully, I'm gonna say, roll a d4.
Ooh. A 4.
Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. So, the way I picture this in my head is that I spent most of this week thinking about what the anatomy of a rust monster might be, just in case this is gonna happen. I kind of picture this rusting ability to be created by almost like glands that secrete, almost think of like your lymphatic glands or like your salivary glands, but they don't have like very, very big glands, but multiple smaller glands that might be like secreted along various nodes along their antenna and their mandibles. So I'm gonna say that you managed to. I'll say you managed to take 8. You managed to remove 8 of these slightly smaller glands, and they're about.
Nice.
I'm gonna say they will be about 2 to 3 inches in length, and about half an inch in width, and you're able to secure them and tie them off with that 17, and you managed to harvest 8. There's a couple of them that you accidentally cut through because you've got your blindfold on, but you managed to get these ones successfully.
Nice.
And now you need to figure out how you're going to seal this because it's a wax cloth over the top. There's no actual proper lid.
Yeah, well, we'll just be careful, I guess.
So with that, as you guys are doing this, the tabaxi guide that's outside, he sort of like knocks on the wood wall. He's like, excuse me, master and mistresses, we seem to have company. And he looks down the alleyway along the side, like outside.
We'll be out in a moment. I have something fun to bring back to Mr. Toole when we're done. Just, I guess, distract whoever it is for the moment, please.
I'll say, Car, you can hear the sound of what sounds like armor and maybe the slight jingle of some like metal on leather and stuff like this. And I'd say that it's safe. With your passive perception, kind of sounds like some armored people coming your way.
Sounds like we've got some people with armor coming our way. Don't know if that's good or if it's bad. But I don't really know who that would be. I'm just here for the adventure.
So Atonement from Sin will like stand up and she'll turn to Bora and hand him the glands. And then also when she's got her hands free, she says, if you don't mind, and she'll like reach her hands out to towards your chest plate. And she's like, may I?
Oh yeah, he wears a chain shirt, so it'd be underneath the shirt, but what are you planning on doing?
Well, you said that your armor was damaged in battle, no? I can repair it,
yes,
if you would like.
Oh, really?
Yes, I am good at things like that.
If it... Wouldn't I have to take this off, though?
No, I'm perfectly capable at doing it while you are wearing it.
Okay, I guess go for it.
So yeah, she's just gonna like reach out and just touch the chain shirt, and then she's just gonna cast mending. But when she does that, you see this kind of like, as she makes connection with the chain shirt, this like blinding kind of white light comes from there, and it's only like a flash, but it probably does make you kind of wince a bit when you feel like looking down to see what's happening, and you probably just get blinded for a split second. And yeah, the mending has now fixed your armor, so it wasn't rusting to pieces anymore.
You see Bora completely like wince and like shake his head a bit because he just went from dark vision to a super bright light. It's not a great time. And I guess he looks down and sees the repaired chain shirt, goes, Thank you. Today is a very strange day. I appreciate what you've done. And Bora, still being uncomfortable and like expressing gratitude, will walk over to the cages that were and take up two, I guess, of the rusted metal bars in hand to bring outside.
Are there any windows along the edge of where the chain linky sounds are coming from?
No, there's just a big doorway that with the big slide, the door that you guys slid open. But there doesn't seem to be any windows really in this entire building. It just seems quite dark. You can see where there would have been like torch brackets or like where they would have put candles or lanterns, but there doesn't seem to be any way of having like external light in here. But after this exchange, you see the tabaxi had disappeared down the alleyway, and you can hear a bit of a commotion outside, and you see these two guards standing in the doorway, and they're wearing slightly layered metal plated armor that is quite characteristic of a lot of the dockyard guards and the port guards. And they've got the colors of the royal city, the city guards essentially. So in Malang, you've got like the royal guards who mostly stay at the palace, and the city guards are sort of like the lower rank of the slightly lower ranks in like I guess the formal army or militia that belongs to the king here, the emperor. So they're still employed by the emperor. They're not like a militia, or they don't belong to a particular family. The ones that patrol the area seem to be wearing like the royal colors, and they look at the anyone who might be looking in their direction. You see that they look at the broken chain for that did keep the door together, and then they look at you guys, and you're holding like you've got some of the crates are open. There's a bunch of like broken crate, like some like dead animals and broken cages, and they both look at you guys really concerned, like, what are you doing here? This warehouse should be off limits.
Uh, Bora will hold up a hand to Ka and to Atonement, and simply walk over to the two. I guess I'll call them patrolmen, city guardsmen, whichever.
I think we'll go with city guards.
Okay, just give me one moment. And Bora goes and collects the corpse that was the most damaged of them, and brings it with him to the door,
You do
and just
notice that
drops at their feet.
you do notice that their hands hover over their weapons a little bit. They're not drawing the weapons, but they look very cautious, just in case.
And at this point, Bora is still wearing his typical garb that would also have the simple lapel pin of the Almach family. So that's going to be noticeable. He doesn't go about town hiding that. We were sent here via request to investigate and clean out the trouble that was in here. We were not told what was in here, but as you can see by the maimed creature at your feet, there seem to be things that were stored here that were not originally intended to. And Bora will also toss the two iron poles that he has in his hand that are rusted through. These creatures can eat through metal of any sort, so far as we found. And he points to his chainmail that's been recently repaired. He points to the iron bars in the ground. So, as far as I'm concerned, we've done you and the city a favor by dispatching these creatures now, as opposed to having others injured by such things.
Roll a persuasion or intimidation, depending on which one you'd like to go for. But one of them, as you finish this up, one of them doesn't seem to believe you, and he kind of goes for his saber, but the other one holds a hand out on his arm and tells him no. He works for one of the families.
Well, my persuasion's a 5.
5. You're really lucky that one of these guys are really high with noticing your pin. So yeah, so the other guy just doesn't seem to believe you, but the one that didn't speak is holding his companion back, and he's like, no, he has the mark of Master Almok. And they both look at the pin, and the one who recognized you is like, I'm sorry, my lord. It just looked very suspicious with the broken chain. It looked like you had broken in here. Please excuse me and send my apologies to the All-Father. Lotus Father, sorry.
Worry not. I understand the tensions and unease one would see in doing so. Were this my warehouse, I would feel the same. But if you would, to allow myself and my companions easy passage and just a few more minutes in here, we will be wrapped up in just a moment and surely out of your hair, if that's all right with you two.
Yes, of course, my lord. Please let us know if you have any problems. And as we said, apologies to the Lotus Father. And please send our regards. And they kind of back away, and they kind of edge their way towards the end of this alleyway. And you notice that they kind of, if you were to peek out, they kind of hover around the entrance, and a few people who look like they're going to come this way, they sort of usher on.
Well, Atonement, Ka, gather what you feel is necessary. I'm going to bundle these bodies together, and we should head to the Aromatic Tiger for just a moment, so I may collect the due for this job, and we may be on our way, hopefully. Oh, and just one more thing. Please don't mention me, I guess referring to Lotus Father Almach favorably. Don't ask, it's just I have to hold faces for a bit. And he's gonna make sure that as he says this, like they're further in the warehouse, and the tabaxio's doing the lookout doesn't hear this. So he's gonna say in a very hushed tone.
I'll roll a real quick perception check for the tobacco. He rolled a 5.
He rolled a nat 20. He knows all your
He
plans.
rolled a 5. He did his shit.
Which just like made loud clanging sounds.
Dun, 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 dun.
So Bora will get to bundling the bodies together. And once he does, he'll just approach the door and just wait for a tone from Sin and Ka to wrap up.
Alright, is there anything else you guys would like to do in this warehouse?
I mean, Ka would has just kind of been looking around, and so is there anything else that Ka has kind of discovered in that time?
I would say roll a real quick investigation, like just a general investigation check.
11.
With an 11, you pull open a few more of the containers, and you see a few more of the crates, and you see that it just seems to be mostly this denjang. But you do come across one crate that seems to have it's like half the size of some of the others. It's about 1 foot by 1 foot, and then when you like kind of pull it open, you can see there's 6 smaller bottles of plum wine in there. That indicate that they are from the nation Kulin, which is the nation that follows the Green Dragon. And with an 11, I think that is mostly what you will find. You take a look at these like cages again in case there's anything you might be able to salvage from it, if there's anything in there. But no, it just seems to be mostly food and like dry goods, just waiting for transportation.
And with that, like, I'm going to, do what I can to close back up the crates. Obviously, I can't nail them down or anything, but I'll, like, put the lids back on, and, things look nice and tidy.
That's easy enough. Atonement, what would you like to do?
I think she's all good. She wanted to make sure that everyone was all not healed up, but not specifically like, falling to pieces. And they've got what Bora came for, so she's happy to leave.
The tabaxi guide who brought you here is hanging around down the alley, but he does keep glancing nervously. Or they keep glancing nervously at the guards at the other end. And as you approach, they approach you like, are you ready to return to Master Chul now, sir?
Yes, I believe we're all set here. And don't worry about the 2 guards at the end of the road that came by. They know who I am, and we should not have any problems for the rest of the day.
The tabaxi looks at you kind of like with a slight frown, just like almost like looking at you in a new light with that particular statement before they nod like, okay, I'll take you back to the Fragrant Tiger and your associates.
I believe
as well.
you mean the Aromatic Tiger.
Aromatic Tiger. No, it's a Fragrant Tiger, I called it.
No, you said Aromatic Tiger.
Aromatic Tiger. My notes.
The Stinky Tiger.
It's okay. The correction is just for that character, not for you.
The Pungent
I've got it written
Tiger.
I've got it written down as the Fragrant Tiger in my notes. Oh, it's the Aromatic Tiger on my post-it note and a Fragrant Tiger in my notes. Hang on, let me fix this.
Amazing.
Aromatic Tiger.
The Spicy Tiger.
The flavorful tiger. Oh my. Yeah, so you guys make your way back to where Master Chul is, and we will end it there with you guys leaving the port district. So, the first of our food episodes trying to describe Denjang.
Anna's just going to give us homework, and the homework is just going to be try all these foods that you've never tried before.
Eat these foods, damn it.
I mean, for Ginny and I, we just said like meet up in Philly and go to Koreatown. For you, Helen, you just have to go to Anna's house and just have Johnny.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, you just come to my house. I mean, I could make it your house one day. So, yeah, anyway. So, that is the episode for today. Don't forget to follow us on social media for the podcast itself. Check out Twitter and TikTok. We are Spirit on Tap D&D on pretty much all of our social media. Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. What other things are we on?
We have a
I think-
website.
Spotify.
Spotify, or you can visit our website Spirit on Tap D&D for links to all our social media and our updates. You can follow me at AnnaS100 on Twitter. And what about you? We'll start with Ginny today.
You can find me, Ginny, at Ms. Ginny Liz on both Twitter and Instagram.
And you, Helen.
I am It's Songbird on Twitter, and I am Songbird Cosplay on Instagram.
And Eric?
You can find me on Twitter at Slippers Cosplay. I made it sound like there's a question mark.
I know, I was like, have you finished? So thank you for listening to the show, and we will be back in about 2 weeks. Thank you. Hi, this is Anna, the DM and creator of the Spirit on Tap D&D podcast. Spirit on Tap D&D is a campaign inspired by Asian cultures, religions, and regions. Feel free to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Spirit on Tap D&D. I hope you have enjoyed and will continue to enjoy our adventures within Jobengia. Thank you for listening and showing your support. We'll see you soon.